In this video, we're going to look at, should you focus on building an automated strategy? Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. So, should you focus your efforts on building an automated strategy rather than a manual strategy? Let's look at the pros and cons, or for and against, trading automated versus trading manual. Some of them here, but we're going to investigate some more while we talk about it here. So the obvious one is that it removes some emotion. That's the big pull for a lot of people. They think, you know what, I struggle each day to kind of pull the trigger, or I'm kind of not honoring my stops, I'm trading too much size, I'm not entering when I should, all this kind of stuff. And so the law of automation is that, hey, it will remove that kind of feeling that I get intraday or when I'm about to make the trade. And it will. There's definitely some emotion removed there. When it's about to take the trade, it just does it. There's no thinking about it. If you're not sitting on the screen, not even going to see it, you're just going to be alerted, or you're going to come back and you see you've got a position. However, you've still got to program in all the parameters. So you still have this big learning curve to go through. So you've got to work out how you're going to program it, or you've got to hire a programmer, you've got to verbalize what you're talking about. But more importantly, when we put it in kind of parallel with this emotion removing, you still have some emotion with the system, because you still have to say to yourself, hey, I only want to risk X. What do you do when I have X amount of losing trades in a row? Do I pull the system? I'm going to jump to here now. Do I overrule the system and say, I don't want to have another losing trade in a row, I'm not going to execute the trade? Or do I cut the system and say, hey, you know what, these are the rules, it shouldn't have more than this in a row? Or do I have to sit through the drawdown of the system? So there's still emotion involved in it. It doesn't pull emotion away from it. There's a bit of a fallacy with trading a system. You've still got that. And in fact, let's be honest, if you're in a big position size that was entered by a system, there's no different to that looking at that on your screen at the end of the day, if it's a systemized automated approach or whether it was a manual approach. You're still in it regardless. The only difference now is you have an automated exit point that you know the system will take you out of. But you know the rules of that. You know what it is. That could be, let's use very, very simply speaking, a moving average crossover. I would hope that the automated strategy is more complex than that, still keeping things simple, but with a few more parameters in. But let's use that for an example. You know that it's going to come out there. So you're up very, very, very nicely on the trade. You know that the system's going to take you out there, but then it's no different psychologically to being up and thinking, oh, it's going to pull me out and I don't want to come out. I want to come out early. You're still going to get the feeling of, I want to cut it early. Do I want to trim it? How do I want to trade it? You're still going to be feeling the ups and downs of the move and the trade, whether automated or not. Unless, of course, you're strict enough to not even look at what's going on, only be alerted if things go disastrously wrong, which again, you've got to code something in. But it's human nature, guys. It's human nature for us to want to see how our money's doing, especially if it's a meaningful amount of money. Same with trading. If we've got a very small amount of money in there, almost a demo size, we don't care. We let it move back and forth. We're not trading it with any thought or energy. However, when we start trading big size, we're watching it like a hawk because it's very meaningful to us. So it's the same kind of thing. So whilst it does remove some emotion, and maybe it's some way of reducing some things, it doesn't reduce it completely. Just going off on a tangent very, very quickly, we can still add automated orders without a strategy. So we can still put in limits and stop entries to remove this if we want to. That's just something to think about. It's like this hybrid approach of being alerted to trades, placing the orders in, making the decision still manually, but putting those orders in and then walking away from the screen. So we can also do that. All right, another good reason for having an automated strategy is good data. In other words, we're going to have good data on the results of the strategy because, in fact, these two are very, very similar. I've got segmented strategies and good data. What do I mean by that? We are trading one specific strategy per system, if you like, automated strategy. Pullback trend trading, mean reversion, fading levels. Two distinct strategies. We know exactly the rules of the system, exactly the rules of the strategy, and see how it's performed. So we can be very objective in the way that we're analyzing the results that are coming out. We can see, hey, the trend trading is working very, very well. Let me allocate more capital to that. Rather than a lot of people manually even though we try and segment off and journaling and doing all that stuff, it relies on us to being, again, very objective in the way that we are, analysing and summarising the results, which often we're not. So that's a really good point, because we get good data based on a specific strategy. And we can also see, hey, quite easily, if we made a small little tweak to it, how would it have affected the strategy results in the past week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever it may be. So that's very nice as well. So that's a good reason to do it. Another good reason is it requires you to really identify your strategy. Many of us trade a little bit too much from the guts. We have a broad strategy, but with an automated system, we have to actually very, very clearly define when is that order going in. We can't just say, oh, well, I think it's going to be this and that. Now, maybe that could be a positive and a negative. Maybe using some of our intuition is what's making us a good trader. That's definitely an argument for that case. But also, the positive side of this is really nailing down exactly what I need to see, what are my favorite setup before I want to take the trade. And even going down the path of automating and then saying, it's helped me loads because I've ironed out exactly what I want to see, and now sticking with manual to allow that little bit of gut feel to still be there. So that's something that's quite important, I think. And we talked about the segment strategies as a good way of collating data. So against, why should you not do it? Obviously, the one we haven't really put here is that you're taking away the gut feel as a trader, and it's something that we've done a video about before. But how do you quantify it? We get experience as human beings, and intuition plays a good part in it as we get experience. And by kind of having an automated strategy, do we remove that completely? We kind of do in a way, but can we program it in? Maybe we can, but it's something to be aware of. Against the safety parameters, of course, we have to make sure if we're using an automated system that we're not checking that there are really strict safety parameters in. What we don't want, and I've heard this story before, is a system that just blows up. One guy built this algo and it literally went buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, all however long it took him to lose all his money in commission and spread. That's just heartbreaking, because he went on real money. It wasn't strictly checking it, didn't have any safety parameters, any lockdown. So if you're going to do it, you kind of have to do this. Whereas if we're doing it by eyeball, we're going to see, hey, you know what, we're in too much of a position here. The size has gone too much. We entered a ticket that's the wrong size. We went buy instead of sell. We've got too many positions. We're going to feel that discomfort and be alerted to it. So that's just one thing to remember. We also still require risk analysis. We can't just say, okay, you know what, I'm going to leave it and it's going to be fine. We need to dig down and say how many trades are we going to take before we come out. We still have to think about what might happen and put the risk analysis in, which is one of the hardest parts of trading. It's kind of trading for a meaningful size, but still having that risk tolerance that's acceptable. So that's something that we can't ignore completely and still have to nail down. There is still a discipline issue there. You've got to stick to the system. And these are kind of really two the same. We touched on this a little bit earlier, overall or cutting it. You have to know when the system is just drawing down and you're not going to front run it and kind of ignore it and not take some and take the other. If you start to do that, there's no point in trading a system, because generally there's going to be a handful of trades that make the most of the money. And if you're not trading it methodically, A, you're going to ruin the point of having good data because you didn't take that one because you didn't fancy it or whatever it may be. And B, you might miss out on the really good trades that actually make up the bulk of the system's profitability. So you still have discipline to execute it as you said you were going to do it, and say, hey, I'm going to risk this amount of money. I'm going to trade it for this amount of period of time. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to see what happens. So there we go, guys. Should you focus on building an automated strategy? Some ideas for, some ideas against. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about automating. Is it a route you've gone down? Any success with it? Any pitfalls you want to share? Interested to hear what you guys have got to say. Good trading. See you in the next one. Thumbs up if you like this kind of stuff. See you again. See you soon. Bye-bye.